Well, welcome to the 14th Annual John Curtin Medal Award Ceremony. Once again, we'll be presenting the John Curtin Medal to an extraordinary recipient who has demonstrated John Curtin's attributes of vision, leadership and community service. It now gives me pleasure to introduce Dr. Jim Gill, Chancellor of Curtin University, to officially welcome you.
It's my very great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you today, and thanks for attending this 14th Annual John Curtin Medal Award Ceremony. I'd particularly like to acknowledge our 2011 John Curtin medalist and her special guests. And actually nobody could be more special than actually her parents, who've arrived yesterday from the United States, and it's great to have you here to honour your daughter's outstanding success. Welcome to Perth.
The John Curtin Medal is awarded by Curtin University to people or organisations that have made a significant contribution in their chosen field in Australia or internationally and have exhibited John Curtin's qualities of vision, leadership and community service. It gives me great pleasure to announce our John Curtin medalist for 2011, Tanya Pinto.
Tanya Pinto's strong belief that one ordinary person can make a difference has led her life full circle back to her Indian birthplace to improve the lives of its poorest children. Her father's regular reminders that it can take just one person and one generation to end a family's cycle of poverty were founded in Tanya's grandfather's experience. These significantly shaped Tanya's view of the world and inspired her action. Baal is also a two-time winner of the Charity of the Month by Search Kindly, which is a Google company, and has also been named Hunger Charity of Choice by the Hunger Site and Greater Good Foundation. Tanya's drive, commitment and selflessness have improved the lives of thousands of children in India and make her a most worthy recipient of the 2010 John Curtin Medal. Tanya, I'd like to invite you to stand to receive your medal from the Chancellor. Thank you.
So to Tanya, you've been chosen as an exemplary role model for today's society and as an inspiration for tomorrow's leaders because of your own vision, leadership and community service. These are attributes you share with Australia's wartime Prime Minister John Curtin, after whom this university is proudly named. We know that you'll continue to use your talents to serve the community and to inspire and lead those around you. This award serves to reinforce the fact that you've justly earned the respect and commendation of the whole community. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2011 John Curtin medalist and invite you to stand and join me in recognising her outstanding vision, leadership and community service.
Now can I look at this? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Jim Gill, Chancellor, Professor Jeanette Hackett, Vice Chancellor, John Curtin medalist from previous years, Curtin staff, students, alumni. Thank you for this great honour of receiving the John Curtin Medal. I would like to extend a special thank you to all the faculty and staff of Curtin who have so thoughtfully put this ceremony and all the arrangements together, especially to Julia Nicol and the PR team, and to Sally Webster, who nominated me. Thank you. To my family and friends who are present today, especially my parents who have flown in from America, my godparents, the Daniel family, and my best friend Rebecca Guyton and Victor Benjamin, thank you so much for being here, and especially to Professor Mike Ewing. Thank you so much for flying all the way from Melbourne just for this. Receiving the John Curtin Medal is especially meaningful for me for a number of reasons, including the fact that John Curtin Day is also my birthday, October 7th. So it's been a great birthday this year. In the next 10 minutes or so, I'd like to share my story with you. It's a story that I hope will inspire you to know that you can make a difference with your life. We can all make a difference despite the staggering statistics that we often hear about the state of the world. So let me take you on a journey, my journey. In November '98, I received my degree from Curtin, Bachelor of Arts, Honors, and less than 48 hours later got on a plane to Dallas, Texas, a city I'd never even been to before. My father had gotten a job there, and as a family, we decided to immigrate. It was 1998, the markets were in recession, and I needed to kickstart my career. But I stepped off that plane with absolute confidence and faith that I would get a good job. So why was this? Well, at Curtin, it was continually reinforced by the faculty and the staff that I was receiving a world-class degree with a global perspective. Every day on campus, I would interact with lots of students from all over the world. And I knew that the textbooks that I was reading were the same ones that a student sitting in London or New York were reading too. This confidence and faith was a gift from Curtin that more than just the textbooks and exams can give you. It is one of the greatest gifts a university education can give you. And when I got to America, after many interviews, I landed at a company called the Richards Group. It is a $1 billion advertising agency, the largest independent agency in the world. And my career was launched. This agency handled massive brands in the US, the Home Depot, Fruit of the Loom, Hyundai, and many more. And I was launched at the deep end, and within months was traveling all over the world, London, Canada, and New York, to work on big brands like Travelocity and Nokia mobile phones. I had made it. I had a wonderful career, travel overseas, and I was on a fast track to promotions, and very blessed. But advertising is very fast-paced, with lots of deadlines, and is perhaps not the most soul-fulfilling of career paths. And by the time I'd been in that business for 7 years, I started to feel a void in my life and a restlessness. And I had a sense there was more I could be doing with my life than just perhaps making ads. I had made a promise to myself that one day I would work in an orphanage. My grandfather was an orphan, and although he passed away before I was born, it was a cause that was dear to my heart. So I took a sabbatical from my job in advertising and worked at Mother Teresa's orphanage for 3 months in 2005. During the day, I did basic teaching with the children, and in the afternoons, I worked at the Home for the Dying, doing nursing. And right there on the streets of the crowded city of Calcutta, I saw the most unimaginable suffering, disease, death, and the injustice of poverty. I saw children and babies on the streets, playing in the filth, suffering from malnutrition, and in some cases dying of starvation. And I noticed that despite the conditions that they lived in, they seemed to live life with joy, despite their horrific circumstances. One day, I was sitting in a cafe in India, and a little boy came up to me begging. He was about 7, and he said he wanted some money or something to eat. I got him a plate of food, and he said his name was Shonam, and his English was excellent. And when I asked him if he wanted something to drink, he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Yes, black coffee." He was a wise and stoic little soul trapped in a 7-year-old body, and he told me that his father was not around, his mother was very ill and could not work, and so he spent his days roaming around, begging for food and money. And I thought to myself, he is so smart and so articulate. What could he be if he had the chance to go to school? And when I worked at the orphanage, there was that sign on the wall from Mother Teresa that I would read every day. If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. I pondered this quote, and I knew the staggering statistics about India. A population of over 1 billion, 18 million street children, 25 million orphans, 40% of children in India are malnourished, and half the population lives below the poverty line. 18 million street children, children like little Shonam, kids like the ones playing in the garbage on the street that I would see every day in Calcutta. And then I thought, well, what if Mother Teresa was right? I couldn't do anything to change those scary statistics, but I could feed one child. I could send one child to school. This much I knew I could do. So just before my time in India ended, this friend of mine gave me that $50, and with that I managed to buy a ton of stuff for the 300 children in the orphanage. And when I told him how his $50 had helped me buy 300 pairs of underwears and sweets and notebooks and pencils, he sent me an email and he said, "Tanya, if I had known that you could do that much with $50, I would have given you a lot more money." And so you could say that one does not necessarily choose a calling, it chooses you. And when I finished up that sabbatical in India and returned to my job in advertising, I started to tell my coworkers and my friends about my experiences in India. And within a few weeks, this lawyer friend of mine said, "Tanya, you need to start up a public charity. Pick a name, you need to do this." And at first I resisted. What did I know about starting an international charity? My degree was in mass communications and I worked in advertising. I didn't know anything about grassroots implementation of aid and fundraising and all that stuff. But I'm also reminded of something that Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, said. And he said, "Have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." And so within weeks, I had a charity, Baal Dan. Baal means child, and Dan means donation in Hindi. And I set up a website to collect donations. In that first year, I thought I would raise about $1,000 to help those children. In fact, I raised over $30,000. I traveled to India again, taking all my vacation days and unpaid leave with nothing more than a backpack. And I've traveled around the country, from the urban slums to the Himalayan plateau to the jungles and the big cities, in search of the best projects that help impoverished children, the orphanages, the school, and quite frankly, the trustworthy people who care for India's neediest children. And I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. I don't believe in wasting time or having an ego about this work. I have no desire to build Tanya's school or Tanya's orphanage. I would much rather find the small projects that already exist, that are struggling, that are underfunded and understaffed, and help them with what they need and make them more sustainable. And at first I would find such a project and I would give them supplies that I would go buy myself, blankets, toiletries and things, and give them to the children. And then as I grew to trust the projects, I would do bigger things, because corruption is rampant in India and you have to be very careful. But slowly, I would make these relationships and do things like build toilets for them, or put in a new classroom, or sponsor children. I know that education is the only way to break the cycle of poverty. But you cannot educate a child if that child is malnourished or hungry. So I have researched and tried several methodologies to try to tackle this issue, including feeding children peanut butter for protein, and many other things in the feeding programs that I do. And I take those same children and I send them to the best private school in their area. And I never started Baal Dan with the intention of Baal Dan being a big charity. But I do, and I always will have the intention that Baal Dan will be the purest charity, a charity that is transparent and will help the poorest of the poor. I know if I do that, then being big will take care of itself. My model is imperfect, it is nimble, and it is ever-changing. I go to India often. In fact, I just flew in from India last week, and I check on the kids all the time, see what's needed now, and I will change programs, grants, and approaches swiftly to make sure that those who need help are getting it. Baal Dan is a charity that has grown not because of me, but through the hundreds of donors and volunteers that like this nimble approach. My donors don't need fancy brochures or gala dinners or big websites or a huge staff. And the energy provided to me to do this work has come from a higher place, and of that I am certain. Because on my own, there is no way I could have sustained what this charity has become while working full-time. We have over 1,000 Baal Dan supported children. We have raised over $500,000 in 5 years. We have built a school, 2 orphanages, several toilets, and provided thousands and thousands of pairs of underwear and clothing and school uniforms and books. And a lot of people ask me questions about Baal Dan, like, what do you want to do with it? How can your one-woman approach work long-term? How will you scale? What's your impact? What do you think your legacy is going to be? And I actually don't think about any of these things. When I wake up each day, I set the intention that I will follow my calling. I will be led to the children that need the most help, and those that want to help those children will be led to me in Baal Dan. And it comes to my own goal for my life. I would like to leave you with a little story from India. There was once a little boy, and he was playing along a country road. And he was skipping along, and he saw a very old man who was planting seeds. And he said, "Hey, you old man, why are you planting seeds on this road? You're going to die before you even see them sprout." And the old man looked at the boy, and he said, "You know, when I was your age, I used to run along this same road, and I used to climb the trees and eat the fruit off the trees. And I realized that maybe someone much older than me had planted these very trees." So the young boy became humbled and ran away. And when I think of my life and my goals, and even Baldan, that is all I want to do, is plant these seeds. I think we all have unique gifts we can use to better this world. The state of the world right now is not very positive. The economy, the environment, the wars, the poverty. But we can follow a simple path and tackle any one of these issues just by trying. We can do one thing. We can plant one tree. We can send one child to school. And perhaps if we all did that, as Mother Teresa also said, even though it's a drop in the ocean would be less if it were not for that drop. So in closing, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you to Curtin University for allowing me to be here, for this great honor, and most importantly, for the wonderful education I received here. I have actually not been back to Perth since I left, since I got my degree. And to be here now under these circumstances is a blessing and a gift I will cherish for the rest of my life. Thank you.